What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick.
I'm Jammin John.
And we have yet another album review for you, and one that I know I personally have been super stoked to go over because I absolutely loved the last one and their debut too.
I had this band confused for somebody else, thinking that I had heard this band, but in reality had never heard this band, and now I'm kicking myself for not having listened to this band in previous years. Tell them more.
Well, yeah, we're going to go over the latest offering from Crypt Sermon, the Stygian Rose. This also comes out on the 15th of June on Dark Descent Records. This band formed in 2013 in Philadelphia. This is their third album. Well, I was a huge fan of their debut album, The Ruins of Fading Light. Absolutely just blew me away. It was a year-ender for me in 2019. And I have been eagerly awaiting this one because this is just some flat-out amazing epic doom metal. Features a lot of members that are in a lot of different bands. You have current and former members of bands like, Eternal Champion, Unrest, Daeva, Horrendous, and even the band Majesties, which just had their debut album not too long ago. In fact, that was last year. And that is a recent addition. This is the first one they've done with new keyboardist Tanner Anderson, who plays guitar and does vocals in Majesties. And yeah, I'm a sucker for just flat-out old-school epic doom metal. You know, lots of Candlemass and Solitude Aeternus, and this band does that sound so damn well. And I was super stoked. And honestly, another thing I was stoked for is to see his reaction because, again, this was his first experience with this band, and I love throwing fresh new bands his way just to see how he reacts. And then, see if he just goes, man, why haven't I been listening to this for years?
That's where I'm at. Man, why haven't I been listening to this for years? My walk into different subgenres of metal has taken some time, and let's just say that after MDF and after getting my face absolutely melted by bands like Ahab and Esoteric, I was pretty eager to get into this based on what he had told me. So why haven't I been listening to this since the beginning? I don't know. I'm stupid. But that stupidity is wearing off, and I'm becoming a Crypt Sermon fan, and there's a lot of good reasons why. First off, let me just talk about the production of this album. It's mixed and mastered by Arthur Risk, who is the man himself for a myriad of reasons, who has worked with multiple bands and likes to make things sound huge. And that's this. This sounds absolutely gigantic. The guitars are crushing, crunchier than kettle chips. The drums are huge, the vocals are huge, everything sounds gigantic, and this band wastes no time whatsoever presenting that to you. Starts off with Glimmers in the Underworld, big synth swells. The keys here, this guy is new, right? So the keys here, they're not commanding in most times. Most times they're used to set the tone or the atmosphere, and there's this big synth swell, and it's kind of creepy, and then bam, riff hits, stomping groove, off to the races, epic.
Yeah, this opening track at 8 minutes and 13 seconds is a big, massive, riffy opener. And one of the things that I've really grown to like about this band is, while it is definitely, again, very closely related to bands like Candlemass and Solitude Aeternus, it is very active. It's very heavy. And I feel like there's a little bit more aggression to their sound versus some of their classic influences. And this album wastes no time getting down to these just big, sinister riffs. And the thing that I love about this in terms of riff work is the frequent use of just harmonized tags at the end of every riff. You get some great flat-out chugs. They're just heavy, they're sinister, but at the end you get these just really clever melodies. And melody and harmony is such a big thing on here, whether it's the synths, the guitars, the vocals themselves, everything intertwines really well, and it sounds like every song is dragging you directly to a cemetery. And that's the vibe that I look for in doom metal. I want it to sound haunting and spooky, and that is a mood that is immediately set on here.
Yeah, when I listen to doom, I want to feel like I'm being buried alive. And sad about it, too. Obviously, I'm not going to be happy about being buried alive, but I want to get dragged down to the center of the earth, and they do so well with that here. The harmony tags, we'll just put it this way, I spent 90% of this record going, ugh, And there's something about a harmony tag, especially when it's placed in the right place, that just, you can't help but to go, ugh.
Yeah. It's this beautiful little accent. It's like this extra bit of seasoning you throw on an otherwise already awesome riff. And there's a lot of like classic heavy metal in it because that's kind of the epic doom thing. It's Iron Maiden for people that are bummed out and want to die, I think, maybe. I don't know. Or they just like the darkness and the gloom and the doom. But, you know, songs like Down in the Hollow, honestly, I hear that riff, there's a good heavy metal gallop to it. It kind of sounds a little bit like Iron Maiden's Power Slave, like the song. I mean, it probably sounds like other moments on that album too, but the song specifically, it kind of has that galloping, you know, just sort of like charging into battle, but we're already dead or something because it's doom metal. But I love the fact that this is still very sullen, very downtrodden, gloomy as hell, but it's energetic about it. Like one of the things that, you know, most people tend to like joke about in terms of like, you know, metal memes is, you know, doom metal drummers. Like it's generally that guy in the fucking field and the farmer like, it's you know, it's not much, but it's honest work. That is not the case with this band. This band has a lot of like intricate drumming and just the rhythm section in general.
He plays like a thrash drummer. Like it's not just, you know, the in the pocket normal stuff where it's like, all right, keeping a beat. Keeping a beat. He chooses to accent a lot of the times when it chugs, he'll throw in a turnover, or like there's a bunch of off-time grooves in Heavy as the Crown of Bone that just you wouldn't expect to come out of a doom band. Even if it is more centered in like classic heavy metal moments, like you still wouldn't expect off-time grooves or turnovers or different accents, or like there's even one part in Scrying Orb where he's playing blast beats. It's really quick. It's thrown in, like, again, a tag on something already kind of thrashy, but it's a blast beat. And I didn't expect to hear that in Doom either. So, a bunch of non-typical moments in this genre.
And that also applies to the bass work, too. There's a lot of, like, cool, lavish melodies. And I want to say in Heavy as the Crown of Bone, there's, like, a legit, like, bass solo.
Yep.
And, I mean, honestly, with all the leads that are on here, it's kind of awesome to see. Like, things like, no, the bassist gets a lead, too. We've already shredded up, like, everything on here. And dude, the lead work on here is so damn good. It's epic. It's very thrashy. It's very fast-paced. Like, you do have some more woeful solos that come in that absolutely fit the dreary mood on here, but a lot of the time, like, the solos are kind of like the brightest moments. Like, they just kind of just, like, lift you up out of the darkness or the tomb or whatever you're clawing out of. But, you know, once the vocals come back on and the doom riffs hit, you're going right back in the great bud.
Yeah, very tuneful leads, except in Scrying Orb, where that lead is legit crying.
Oh, my God.
It is weeping. It is the, like, tuneful and somber, and just, like, you can hear the tears falling off the strings. If that were possible, it's in that song.
And that's just one layer of epic misery that this band generates. You add these synths, which, again, are used very cleverly just to accent a lot of moments and, you know, kind of just, like, add a lot of extra atmosphere. I particularly love the intros on Glimmers in the Underworld, the title track, and Scrying Orb. Like, they set the mood perfectly. It's like a bank of fog rolling into the studio. Like, all right, we are absolutely ready to gloom this place up.
Or the layer of fog through Skid Row.
I mean, it is Philly.
But
one of the biggest layers, and the thing that kind of, like, guides you through the just, you know, foggy moor that this album lurks in are the vocals. Brooks' vocals on here are fantastic. Like, I was a big fan, again, of their last album. I really think that was kind of like his coming out party. I thought the vocals in the first one were really good, but that second one, he got way more epic. And this one, he sounds even more gruff and sinister. Like, there's a lot of, like, extra grit to his vocals, but his delivery is very theatrical. It's you know, if you put the Grim Reaper on Broadway, like, that's kind of the vibe on there.
Or the Crypt Keeper.
Or Rob Lowe from Solitude Aeternus. It's very close to that, too. But the frequent use of harmonies on here, like there's chanted refrains often, it's very occultish. Like, you start hearing these tuneful but very creepy melodies. You kind of just want to, like, look out your window and make sure you're not surrounded by, like, cloaked figures. Which, for me, I would just be relieved that they're not Jehovah's Witnesses. So, you know, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, it did start raining when we got midway through this record. I just thought that was very fitting. It got all dark and gloomy. Right about the time we hit Thunder Perfect Mind, which I think is one of the doomiest tracks on this album, it started raining, and I was like, yeah.
And another thing that I really like about this is the pacing of this album. Like, you have big epic songs, clocking in around 8 minutes. The last track, the title track, is over 11 minutes, but they're all well paced. But you also have like some shorter songs in there that are just a little bit more straightforward in their structure and just deliver big hooks. And my God, every song in here is ridiculously catchy. But Thunder, Perfect Mind, slow, gloomy, it's bleak, and it delivers giant hooks too. That's just like, again, like the epic doom thing. Like, yeah, let's get downtrodden, but I also kind of want to have a sing-along. And Heavy as the Crown of Bone is like a legit rocker. Like, that thing's got great heavy chugs to it. It's kind of, grimly anthemic. And just, again, like kind of like a good digestible single. But the one that really stood out to me was Scrying Orb, because you could argue it's a ballad.
It is.
You could totally argue about it.
It's totally set up like a ballad. The verses are really somber. Like, for the most part, everything drops out and you get quiet keys and a really quiet guitar melody, and he just sings. And it's not like he's screaming. He's not gruff at this point. Like, he's singing, and you're just like, all right.
Crooning.
All right.
And then the chorus hits, and it is, I mean, honestly, it's my favorite chorus on this album. It is such an instant hook. There is part of me that thinks that this song is, well, I mean, either like a spiritual successor to Candlemass's Crystal Ball, because, I mean, I feel like they're talking about the same thing. Or, and kind of with the interesting timing of these reissues, like, it kind of feels a bit like an extra gritty, heavier version of some of the Tony Martin Black Sabbath stuff, like Headless Cross.
Yeah, I could see that.
With the lush synths added to it and those, very horror-esque vibes, it kind of has that. Plus, I mean, when you get down to the bridge and the giant lead on there, like, it's, I don't know, like, it's got something to it, like, that's just, I don't know, maybe a little bit more epic than the rest of the album, which the rest of the album is just insanely epic, so that is definitely saying something.
And that bendy riff on the end of Scrying Orb, like, just one more thing to sock it to you, as if you're already not elated enough over this record, and that song specifically, like, that big bendy riff, and that it kind of ends with almost a breakdown feel, and you're just like, dude, come on.
Well, because it is epic doom, you have to close epically, because you've already opened very epically, and the title track, the big 11-minute anthem of darkness and gloom, is quite the spectacle. And one of the things I absolutely love about it right away is the long instrumental buildup.
Yeah.
It starts off probably more quietly and subdued than I would say like any other moment on here. It's an isolated piano. It's playing like a dark sonnet. I feel like I'm either attending a funeral or watching the beginning of an 80s soap opera. Not really complaining, because that music is definitely mood setting too, because eventually every one of those soap operas gets a brain tumor.
I have no argument.
Mom's got to watch her stories and is like, why, they're all going to die anyway, because they'll get replaced by younger actors that are less talented.
Who shot JR?
Who cares? But this song takes a good amount of like instrumental time to build up, comes in with a giant riff, then drops out, and you get like probably some of the most isolated, intimate vocals on the entire album, which they do get a little bit more intimate on Scrying Orb, but here like everything drops out outside of a somber guitar melody. And it's cool to hear the, vocal flip between Brooks's more like clean crooning to his more gruff singing.
Yeah.
And as it builds in to like the bigger part of the verses or pre-chorus, it's kind of hard to figure out what the structure is here. It's just all so epic. But man, this song, once it gets going, which I like the drawn out vibe.
I do too.
Draw out this mood. The melodies are awesome. Keep it going. But man, when it really picks up steam and gets down to this amazing dissonant bridge, my God, like one of my favorite moments of the entire album.
Well, and the chanted vocals that lead into that, like, they do everything to not only take that tension, but make sure that you're pretty much like on the edge of your seat, almost like you're watching like a thriller movie or something. Like, you're just waiting for somebody to jump out. When they actually get down to it, dude, it is heavy. You get that big blazing lead over the triplet chugs and just tons of catchy harmonies. Like, epic is the word that describes the last song. Not that it doesn't describe the rest of the album, I guess, but everything is bigger than life on the last song. Every time it comes out of those clean and quiet moments, it is the biggest thing ever. Like, those riffs are just huge both times it happens.
Oh, the dynamics between the more intimate, mournful moments to the giant, mournful moments. It's huge. Like, the welling of emotion, everything is in kind of lockstep in terms of delivering just great, catchy melodies. But again, it's that frequently descending, downtrodden vibe. This album, it kind of does everything right. Like, I would be hard-pressed to find anything I don't like on this. And I absolutely loved the last one. And this might be even better. Like, wow. This is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, this record was a ride, and probably one of the best rides I've ever been on. And I used to be a member of the American Coaster Enthusiasts. I've ridden a lot of rides, but this one took me down so many paths and so many little roads, and I was in the woods at one point, and I was definitely crying, and it was dark. I don't know. This record is amazing. Like, normally when we review a record and I have to get nitpicky and try to find something wrong, normally I do, but I can't. I can't find a goddamn thing wrong with this record. Like, the mix was perfect. The songs are masterfully constructed. It is catchy. It is heavy.
Great album art, too, which that's also Brooks, too. He's a man of many talents. Yeah.
Yeah, it just, this record blew my mind in, like, every song. And I kept thinking, like, well, maybe on the next song they're going to fuck it up somehow, and they didn't. I'm going to give this record a 4.5. I so badly want to give it a 5, but I realized over the years that I can't do that to myself. It's a very high 4.5, like, and almost immediately I knew 1.5 songs in that this was going to be a masterpiece, and it is. It's just an awesome record. The lead work is perfect. The riffs are awesome. Everything is catchy. Everything is placed exactly where it needs to be. Like, and in the mix, I didn't hear anything overpowering anything. And, like, they do such a good job of building, and, like, it's masterful. I loved every second of it. Again, I'm kicking myself in the ass for not listening to this band, and I am so pissed that we didn't see him at MDF.
Yeah.
We had no idea we were going to the pre-fest, and we missed him, and I'm pissed off because I guarantee they played at least one of these tracks, and it would have been amazing to see live. I don't know. Good job, Crypt Sermon. If you're into Epic Doom, Candlemass, bands like Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, there's even some, like, early Opeth, at least in the beginning track. Check this band out. I, again, am a fool for not listening to this more, but I'm going to, and I'm definitely going to listen to this a lot because this record rules. I'm going to shut the fuck up and let Nick talk about it, but 4.5, it's awesome. Please check it out.
Oh, I'm going to continue to gush here. This is also a 4.5 for me, and it is traipsing on that 5 boundary that's very elusive.
Yeah.
But I'm still not going to kowtow to just fully give it in a 5. But if you see it high on my year-end list,
you'll know.
Spiritually, it is a 5. This album is flat out epic. If it was any more epic, or if I dared it to be more epic, it would build a castle across the street from me and sing from, like, the balconies of it and tell me that death is coming for me. And, you know, I'd be, like, okay with that. This band kind of just did everything right. Like, in terms of an epic doom metal album, it is hooky. It has lots of callbacks to, like, classic heavy metal, but it is done, of course, in that way where everything is downtrodden and gloomy. The addition of keys on here. Generally, I'm kind of, like, hesitant about that. It's like, well, it all kind of depends on how they're utilized. They're utilized perfectly on here. They accentuate the already gloomy, miserable mood on here. But I love the fact that it is just so damn catchy. Like, all these laments towards the darkness have amazing hooks in it. Scrying Orb, dear God, if that song came out in, like, 1985, there would probably be, like, well, a radio edit for it on the radio because it's, like, almost 8 minutes long, and the radio totally wasn't about that. But that could have been, like, on the radio. Like, it is a legit, catchy ballad, dirge, whatever. It's amazing, but every song on here brings something to the table that I absolutely love, whether it's just catchy riffs, great lead work, great vocal work. Brooks absolutely kills it on here. Yes. I like the more gruff sound that he brings in there.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just an amazing album from start to finish. And I already heard people, like, really glowing this thing up. And generally when I hear an album hyped up a lot, I'm a little worried because, hype machines are dangerous.
Right.
Believe the hype. Believe the hype.
Yes.
If you're a big fan of Candlemass and Solitude Aeternus in particular, and to a degree, a little bit of the Tony Martin era of Black Sabbath, like it's kind of got a bit of that, especially Headless Cross. Check this out. This is a fantastic album from start to finish. And if you love this album, which, again, if you're a fan of Candlemass or Solitude Aeternus, I'm pretty sure you're going to like this.
Yeah.
Check out their other albums too. They're all good. This album's amazing. And yeah, I am bummed we missed them at MDF.
Yeah, dude, for real.
Oh well.
I'm sorry, Crypt Sermon.
We'll catch you another time.
Come to Detroit. We'll be there.
So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below to thrallsmetal.com. Our Patreon link is there. It is also on the channel. Up in the banner in the bottom right-hand corner. But if you're looking for Thralls Metal stuff, you have to go to thrallsmetal.com. We have t-shirts, both old and new. The old t-shirts are discounted, provided we have your size. And we even have hats, too. So if you're looking for any of that stuff, click the link down below.
And surely, last but not least, tons of stuff going on at Thralls of Metal. Album reviews, discography rankings. We're going to sit down here and do Meshuggah really soon, and that's proving to be really difficult because it's a ranking and those suck. But yeah, it won't suck. Watch it. States of Metal. Is it metal? Is it not metal? Whatever
Stuff.
This guy decides to do. He's got a bunch of things up his sleeve. I just got internet at my house. Thank you, Jeebus. Just got internet at my house, so there's going to be stuff coming out in my direction now, too. Anyway, all this stuff that we do here at Thralls of Metal, we do for you guys. We genuinely appreciate you. I know we say that all the time, but it becomes more and more apparent as time goes on how much we are thankful for our fans and our subscribers. And you guys keep us going, and in return, we keep going for you. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys absolutely rule. And again, tons of content coming your way. And I don't know, who knows what else. We're, probably kind of predictable, but we like to be occasionally unpredictable. So
Occasionally.
Who knows? But either way, thank you all so much, and we will catch you later.